Alright, there we go, record. Alright guys, welcome to the ultimate sketchy setup. I've got this jack on here that's barely holding the car up. It's not even touching the frame hardly. It's just that those little ridges in it are holding that frame. I got two 7-ton jacks in the front in case the jack decides to fail, and I got two 2-ton jacks on either side of the car holding up the frame. This video is one of, I don't know how many yet, parts of the transmission rebuild process for my Olds 98 Regency. So far what I've gotten done is I have taken off the top 2 bolts of a transmission because they were up behind here, right behind the distributor. Those were the bolts that came out of that. They are 9/16 standard bolts, and they weren't all that tight. I don't know if it's an error on whoever worked on this last, or if it's just because they're not supposed to be torqued that tight, but I was able to get them out with my fingers after breaking them free, so they weren't that tight at all, and they weren't stuck in there. There are 6 other bolts to take off on the case itself, which I will get to. But first things first, I gotta take out that transmission mount and the cross member right there and take the drive shaft out, so when I do get the transmission released, it will actually drop down. My original plan with this was to use 4 7-ton jacks and lift the car on all 4 sides so it's sitting up in the air about 3 feet, but the jack, even the big commercial 4-ton jack that I have, would not lift the car that high, so I didn't get the opportunity to do that. But today the goal is just to get the drive shaft out, get that cross member out, get the transmission mount off, and maybe get the flywheel cover off, depending on how much time I have. But this is just a quick little introduction video, since I don't have a second person to actually film this while I do it, and I don't have a tripod for my camera, so I'm gonna have to record this in smaller segments of what I've done and how I did it. But for the most part, this early stages is all just textbook. You want to just, drain the transmission. So I took a cooler line off so it drained it, but that won't drain it all the way. There'll still be fluid in the pan, but I'm not taking the pan off since I'm just going to remove the whole transmission. But you drain transmission, you get the drive shaft out, you get everything free, get the bell housing bolts out, make sure you pay attention to where they go back in, and then you drop the transmission. It's a pretty simple thing to do. Once we get into actually rebuilding it, that's when it's going to be a more tedious recording for me. I'm gonna have to film for my benefit and yours how everything comes apart and goes back together. And it's gonna be a lot of videos, so be prepared for that. But anyway, that's just my little introduction video of what I got going on here. This is probably the biggest project yet on this car. Hopefully the last big project on this car. I know my cruise control needs service too, and I got an exhaust leak, but that's all small potatoes compared to dropping a transmission and rebuilding in a garage. So hope you enjoyed this, and hope you enjoy the next dozen or so videos I will release on this transmission.